Hello, MSOE fans, and welcome to the Raider Report, where we sit down with MSOE coaches to discuss all things Raider athletics, from game reactions to recruiting news and everything in between. The Raider Report has all the behind-the-scenes details and news you want. Joining us at this time, once again, it's the head coach of women's golf, Kevin Hurd. Coach Hurd, how are we doing?
We should start the podcast over and say number one recurring guest on this pod, Kevin Hurd.
Yeah, you basically have a residency here.
Just backed by popular demand. That's all.
So your squad was at Ives Grove last weekend, head-to-head against Lake Forest. Just your two teams out there on the course. How'd the course treat you guys on Saturday?
Yeah, so Lake Forest, traditionally strong program, and with golf, there's always a lot of variables. You can't really predict. My other sport, men's basketball, we have a pretty good idea of what the weather's going to be indoors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Outdoors, it's a little bit different. So at Ives Grove down there, really, really windy, and that factors into golf a lot. I also say we're starting to get that crisp fall weather going, so it was a little chilly out there, especially with the wind. So you try to not let that affect you too much, but I think sometimes that it does. So it was really, really windy out there. Interestingly enough, I learned at Ives Grove from the pros in the clubhouse that Ives Grove is the highest point in that county.
Really?
So it gets all the wind pretty much all the time.
Nice.
So the wind was kind of swirling and going on us, and that was a little bit of a challenge, but we had a lot of positive things happen, which is great.
For sure. You guys only finished four strokes back of the Forester, so you guys were right in it to the very end. You had everyone out on the course, which is nice to get everyone on the links rather than just the top 4 or 5, whatever it might be. You guys as a team have made great strides year over year, and this season you've had 5 players shoot below 90. You've got 4 averaging sub-90 scores. What do you attribute that growth to?
Yeah, I think just golf is a very hard game. For those who haven't played it or want to pick it up and play it, it's really hard to just grasp right away. And so there's a lot of things that factor into golf. Every golf shot, obviously, but also like we just talked about, the weather, of course, where you're playing from. Everybody's game is different. Some hit longer, some hit shorter. There's just so many things that go into it. And I think our growth has just been kind of dedication in the off season to playing and getting better. And then I think last year we had a good amount of freshmen contribute to the team, and now they're 1 year into a college program. They kind of know what to expect. They're kind of adjusting to the courses that we're playing, the level of competition, et cetera. And I think we have girls that really want to challenge themselves and be as good as they possibly can be. So when you have all those things factoring in, you're getting motivated individuals that kind of are building a routine, and now they know what to expect. So they work really hard. It's a really great group. And so, I like to think that we're improving a lot, which is great.
For sure. And then what's your strategy like when you're at an event with this team? Like when you're going up to a golfer in between holes, are you giving advice? Is it just banter to keep it loose? If they're kind of falling off the rails, are you trying to just lift the composure a little bit?
Yeah,
what's your dynamic?
Yeah,
where do you fit in?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, if you've listened to these pods in the past, I'm pretty good at making humorous jokes, I think, but that's all subjective, obviously. But yeah, I think you have to know your players. I think relationships with players is probably the most important thing as a coach, and people handle things differently. Some people like the lightheartedness to get them back on track. Others need a little bit more discipline, motivation, and I think that just comes from being around people every day in practice. I try to be as hands-on in practice as I can. I'm not going to say that I'm going to drastically change anybody's swings or anything like that. Like, I understand that I'm not a golf professional by any means, but a lot of fundamental work, and just like I said, knowing your players. How do people handle different situations? How do people handle different conversations? Stuff like that. So there's a good mix of things. And that's kind of the fun in it, is learning your own team.
Do you have little spots that you set up during competitions? Are you like, all right, I'll always catch them after hole 5? Like, do you have a game plan?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think when you're hosting an event, you're obviously getting all the tee times started and you're sending the groups off, and then you got to kind of circle back to the front and then watch everybody go. So it just depends. But also some people might need support if they have a rough, one or two holes. Others might be doing really well and they say, Coach, don't come near me. Like, stuff like that. So, you really got to pick your moments at times. But every event is different. Every situation's different. That's kind of the fun in it. So, it's like I said, it's a great group to be around. They all kind of have their own little quirks and stuff. You just got to kind of figure it out depending on the day.
For sure, I could definitely tell from being at media day that you've got a crew.
We should mic me up in practice or an event. I don't know. I mean,
if we had enough mics, I'd love to mic up the whole team.
It's a long round, but I think we could get some pretty good content going. That'd be great.
So you're on a cart then during competitions, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
we gotta get food and water to people. That's, if you asked players, probably jokingly, they would say that's my number one job out there is, just getting people snacks and water and stuff.
Well, that leads right into my next question. I was going to say, what's on the cart with you? Seth clued me in that Brandon had a cooler, Gatorades, water, snacks, everything. What are the essentials that your players are asking for during competition?
Well, see, I just have water, and then we have drink mixes that go. Okay. I mean, we got everything in the book. So I leave it up to people's creativity and independence, right? Okay. You never know what people want. So you gotta leave the door open. So that's my strategy in the beverage department. And then food, it's just stuff that you can eat on the go. Granola bars, trail mix, other stuff. I think small fruit snacks are huge. Sure. We have the fruit snack industry has a good corner on college golf. I think.
Is it Mott's? Is it Welch's? Is it Scooby-Doo?
Pretty sure right now it's Welch's. I think.
Okay.
So yeah, they got a monopoly going. I think in college golf. I feel like everybody has those. So yeah, just stuff that you can take on the go. It's hard because when you're playing in a big tournament, those rounds are longer for when you're playing in like a 3 or 4 team tournament. So maybe in those longer rounds, maybe you gotta dig into some Uncrustables, because you're out there a little longer, right? Throw it back to our elementary school days. So yeah, it's all different, man. That's what makes it fun.
You're like a Coke freestyle machine on wheels out there.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
All right, let's bring it up right to rapid fire. I tried to get as random as I could with these, so if you think it's weird, just know I was trying something new.
Hey, it's all right.
All right.
How many more questions can you ask?
That's what I'm saying.
When are we going to interview you? When are we going to turn the tables?
Maybe that's like the 100 episode special. I've started to float out there how many episodes we need to do before I can have Seth on, and we can maybe do an athletic communications airing of grievances like Seinfeld or something.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I think.
Well, you got to save that for Festivus. So that's coming up.
Exactly. All right. Iceberg or romaine?
Wow, what a question. I'll go romaine.
Chocolate or vanilla?
Vanilla.
If you're ordering a steak, how are you getting it cooked?
It's got to be medium rare. Between medium rare and medium, which I know can be a difficult ask, but there is a sweet spot.
As of late, there have been a lot of medium wells coming through the office.
Yeah,
do you feel strongly
we've talked about some culinary explorations in the past, so I try to listen to the experts, and that's usually the ballpark where they want it. So that's what I'm sticking with.
All right. So you're not too picky. You're not gonna shoot anyone down.
No, I'm not gonna be the guy that gets it and then I don't like it and send it back, right? Unless it's completely off the map. Like if we're asking for medium and it's rare, I don't know if I'm quite there yet.
Sure.
But so I won't be that guy unless, like I said, it's completely out of the range of what I want.
For sure. We were talking about the Brewers right before we started recording. We've got the Bucks are coming up. They're like less than a month away from tipping off. What is the single best Milwaukee sports jersey of all time?
Man, oh man, great question.
Any alternate?
It's a big time of year for sports right now. You got football and the end of baseball, and then hoops starting up. Wow, that's a great question. Best, just Milwaukee jersey, period, or
well, I'll say Wisconsin. Don't need to limit it to just Milwaukee, but Wisconsin sports jersey.
Okay, wow. Growing up, I'm a Marquette fan. So when Marquette won the national title, I believe they had those untucked uniforms, right? Where they didn't tuck them in, and it had Marquette on the bottom. So that would have been Bo Ellis's era. Those were cool. And then I would say more modern uniforms was when Marquette had the powder blue with the checker on the side.
Yep.
Those were top notch.
Yeah.
So, but man, there's been so many good ones.
That's a great deep cut with the untucked.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for people who don't know that, that was the first of its kind, right? And they were kind of there. I'm pretty sure there's a ESPN like short on the designing of those uniforms. It was like those little 10-minute like docu-series ones. Yeah. So yeah, for people who don't know those uniforms, those are really cool. But yeah, they've had some good ones. The Bucks uniforms, wow. I mean, they've really brought back some nice retro colorway type. When they started going to the red and the white, they had some nice ones there. I can't just pick any off the top of my head. So this is rapid fire, so I'm going with those.
We'll sidebar the NBA, that run from I want to say maybe 2011 to 2015. Every single Christmas Day jersey was phenomenal.
Was pretty good.
It was awesome.
Pretty good.
I wish we could get back to that because they've been lacking.
We got to bring that into golf. We got to find some crazy uniform combos for golf.
Maybe you guys need a Roscoe throwback polo. Maybe
maybe.
Or something.
We gotta work to make that happen for sure.
All right. I've been asking people who's the best athlete they've seen in person, but I'm going to change this one up a little bit. What's the most impressive athletic thing you've seen in person? One single moment. We've seen a Nye throw down the alley-oop in the Kern. I've seen Giannis in person. What's the craziest thing you've seen in person?
Wow. Well, I don't want to go too long with this story here, but when I was a sophomore in college, it was probably right around this time, maybe a little bit earlier, maybe a couple weeks, maybe before the playoffs. I saw Prince Fielder hit 4 home runs during a game, and I don't want to take away from that, but after the game in the parking lot, we got in a minor car accident and I got a concussion. So watch him go out and hit 4 home runs and don't remember a whole lot of it. So, but I was at the game. That was with my dad and myself. And yeah, somebody decided to ding us in the parking lot. So there was no foul activity going on or anything like that. But, so I got to see him hit 4 home runs, which was awesome.
So how many home runs would you say you actually can visualize in your head?
I would say 2.
Okay.
I would say 2. Well, that was back when I was playing in college. So the next day we had practice, and it's kind of funny. Every year of my college career playing basketball in the preseason, I missed a chunk of it due to something. Like my freshman year, I was coming off a knee surgery, and then that moment, my sophomore year, I got a concussion, unfortunately, from that accident. And then my junior year was plantar fasciitis, and then my senior year was more knee stuff. So I missed a chunk of every basketball preseason, not on purpose. But I saw him hit 4 home runs. And like I said, unfortunately, we got dinged in the parking lot. Nobody was hurt or anything except for me, I guess, in a way.
At least that story has the silver lining that you hit home, that you saw the home
runs
get hit, and it's not just dealing with some injury.
Correct, yeah.
All right, favorite teacher or professor you've ever had?
Great question. My dad was a high school teacher, so I had him for my second high school class ever. So my freshman year. So my second, high school class, I had him. So I don't know. Is it a cop out if I say that answer? Am I pressured to say that answer? I would say, man, that's a really good question. Something that I've never thought about before. It's going to be tough to not say him. Probably best teacher.
I mean, when you know one of them is for sure listening.
Right. I'm receiving a lot of pressure there, but I would go with him for
sure. All right, favorite Halloween costume you ever had?
Man, oh man, me and one of my teammates went as Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson once. That was fun. I was Watson, he was Sherlock Holmes. He had the Robert Downey look, so that was really good. So yeah, nice. I would go with that.
We talked. You've got some jokesters on your team. Who gets the most eye rolls? Who has the corniest jokes?
Man, it might be a tie at the top with Emma and Maggie. I would say they're both pretty humorous in their own way, just different styles.
Sure.
And Ellie's got some good ones. It's a tough. That's another tough question, but I would say. Yeah, I would say Emma or Maggie. Let's just go with them. I'm going to get some heat from that. I already know, but that's okay. I'll wear it.
Final one before we get back on track. Prediction for the Packers this week versus the Rams.
It has to be a win. It has to be a win. I'm a huge diehard Packers fan, part owner, by the way.
Oh, are you?
No big deal. Yeah, I got it hanging up in my office. But yeah, last week was just, I don't know. It's obviously a loss, and it felt like a poor performance in the first half. But then, there's tipped interceptions. There was the interception where it went through two guys' hands. We had two guys have two hands on it, right? And that gave them kind of another touchdown. And then we missed some field goals. And, there's just so much to the game that you could look at and go, we didn't do that great, and we lost by 2, right? So it has to be a win. Have to get back on track for sure.
I mean, especially after the Bears beat the Rams, you like.
Yeah, you got to keep pace. Yeah, you got to keep pace.
All right, Ellie O'Reilly, who sidebar has had a phenomenal start to this season, just racking up top 5s and top 10s like it's nobody's business. She just took over the main Instagram page to show off a typical day in the life, and I think for those that maybe didn't know, you have 2 practices a day. What's the why is that?
Well, great question. So yeah, it all deals with class schedules. So I don't have golfers that do 2 practices a day. It's more
for academic flexibility.
Yeah, for academic flexibility and when can girls make it and stuff like that. Because like I said, I try to be hands-on in practice. We'll take a van out and go to practice and just have a very focused practice. I think if you have a practice where you have a 3-hour window, you kind of have the freedom to do nothing there, right? So when we kind of go either during the day where we have a long gap between classes or after classes where maybe there's not a whole lot of daylight, like I feel like we get a lot more things done in practice because we're a little bit more focused. So for me, I have 2 practices. They don't. I have to run around and go take them around everywhere. But yeah, practices are very focused, and that's kind of what we feel like is the best thing for us, scheduling around classes and what they need to do with all that first and foremost, and then obviously getting some golf in.
For sure. And then secondly, when you have, like we've said, I'm going to continue to use the word jokesters. Is it ever too much? Like just seeing the Instagram stories yesterday, like that's not what I typically expect to see on a golf course. So like, are you ever like overwhelmed where it's like, okay, can we please just like get back on track?
Well, overwhelmed, no, because I'm the funniest person on the team. So you can't get overwhelmed when you're the guy. Kidding, of course. But no, it's like I said, it's a really great group to work with. It makes me excited to go to work every day. And there are times where I wish we took things a little less seriously. Sometimes behind all that are girls that really want to get better and they're really serious about golf. And with golf, that can be a difficult thing sometimes because if you're too hard on yourself, golf's a sport where things can kind of go in a worse direction if you're more hard on yourself, right? It's a very tough game. If you have really negative thoughts, that can factor into the next swing and the next hole. And all of a sudden you blink and 9 holes are gone and you're playing a round that you don't like. So every shot is kind of a reset. Like you have to lock in and you have to focus and you have to be positive and you have to think about good results because if you let kind of negative thoughts creep in golf, it can really spiral out of control. So I wish sometimes we were a little less serious about things and just tried to have a positive mindset and not let one small mistake create a big mistake.
For sure. You talked about how, some of the growth you attributed to just being the dedication, being back, sophomores to juniors now. You have a freshman, Madison Engabos, who has come in. She's already established herself as one of your top golfers on the team. What's the best aspect of her game?
Yeah, I think she's just very serious about golf as well. She had, why am I forgetting the word? Appendectomy this summer. Yeah, had to get her appendix out. So that kind of put her on the shelf a little bit. And so, just kind of getting her back in the groove, I think it's been really fun to watch her improvement. But another person that's serious about the academic piece and then serious about golf. So she spends a lot of time in the classroom getting her stuff done and then spends a lot of time, really focused on the golf course. And yeah, it's been fun watching her development, but she loves the game. She loves being here at MSOE. So that's a great combination.
For sure. We're coming up real soon this weekend. The NAC Championship is kicking off, coming at you from St. Andrews down in Chicago, Illinois. That's a course that's pretty regularly played for the NAC teams. Talk to me a little bit about what you've picked up from going there a couple times.
Yeah, we've been down there last spring and then again this fall. And I think the course is fairly open. There are some quirky holes. There's water on the first hole on the left, and then there's water on the right on 18, but the rest of the course is kind of fairly open. But it does challenge you in spots where landing zones are a little bit narrow, and then in other spots the fairways are a little bit more wide open, but you got to be straight because there's trees on both sides, stuff like that, all the fun stuff that makes golf fun. I'm using air quotes here, right? You wish they wouldn't just throw water out there or a tree. I wish it was just straight down the middle every time. But yeah, it's a course that we should be familiar with, having played around, like I said, last spring and then again this fall, and 3 more rounds coming up this weekend there. So I want us to learn from our previous rounds and then do the best we can for the next 3 coming up here.
For sure, Coach, and we wish you good luck this weekend. Before I get you out of here, how's the adjustment to being a homeowner been? Anything you weren't fully ready for?
Wow. Okay, great question. How much time do we have? Do we have to do a separate podcast for this? Yeah, own a new home now, and there's just things that you got to do that nobody explained to you in the past, like homeowners insurance, right? All that stuff. And gotta mow the yard this afternoon. Like, gotta go. All these random little things that were just kind of assumed in your previous life.
Sure.
Now you're responsible for those. It's like, oh, I got to mow the yard. Well, we don't own a gas can. Got to go buy that, right? Yep. We had a rose bush in the back that was just a little out of control, and it's like, well, guess I got to go buy head shears now. So
Yep.
Got to go get that. And then you have all these plans of how things are going to go. And then it's like, well, got to go buy this, got to go buy that. And then you blink, and then you got all this stuff in a room, and none of it's moved, which we still have. And we've been living there now for a month plus, and there's still not stuff put away. And that's just kind of how it goes. So then you're looking around at all the things that you think you want to do, and then you just kind of never get around to it. We have some windows that need replacing, and it's like, well, when am I ever going to be home to get that done, right? Because we move from one season to another, and then it's winter, and you're like, well, you're not going to replace them during the winter, so let's just wait till spring. So, but it's been a lot of fun, and probably the hard part is just looking at my schedule going, man, when am I going to get to this or that? And then you have design ideas for new things that you want to do, because everybody wants to make their own space their own, right? So you're looking at things like, should we paint this? Then you got to make a decision about what color. Like, do we match furniture with what? Like, that's not my area of expertise, but all those things do come up. So it's been usually I say it's been more fun than work when I'm talking about my job here. This might be in reverse. It's probably been more work than fun. So hopefully that kind of balances out coming up here.
Yeah, as someone who is getting ready to move in just a couple weeks, I am dreading it. I am dreading it. I don't mind the unpacking as much, but like the actual packing portion of it, oh yeah.
The key to life is not having a lot of stuff. When it's the Jerry Seinfeld comedy routine, right? Where everything that you buy is just on a timeline to when it's garbage, right? Where he talks about every single thing and how eventually it's just garbage, So the key to life is not having a whole lot of stuff, because if you move places, then it's just really difficult, right? And then if you have more stuff, now you got to match it with other stuff, and yeah, it's just kind of a mess. But yeah, that's awesome. That's good news.
Amen to that. Thank you for taking the time to join me, Coach, and good luck to you and the team this weekend at the NAC Championship.
Okay, appreciate it, man. Thanks. Go Raiders.
You can follow Raider Athletics on YouTube at MSOE Raider Athletics, and you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at MSOE_Raiders. Don't forget to find us on Spotify, too. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow, repost, share, and get the word out to all your Raider friends and family. We want you to be heard. Mention us on social media and tell us what you want to hear about. Go Raiders!